Hi everyone. So in this video we are going to take a look at how we can integrate Power Automate flow inside our Power Apps. So for this example I have taken the leave request as a workflow. So for this example I have just a simple SharePoint list, I have these columns created, and using Power Apps form I am using the patch function to add the data in that list. So the workflow will be, once I submit a leave request, it will add an entry to my SharePoint list, and we are going to trigger the Power Automate flow on select of this button. So once the flow will trigger, the approval notification will go to user manager to approve or reject the leave request, and depending on their decision we are going to update the fields of the SharePoint. So it's a simple and straightforward workflow. So to create a Power Automate flow, you can directly click on here, or you can directly go to make.powerautomate.com. So one thing to note, that if you have the multiple environments, then you have to check the environments as here as well in Power Automate also, because there might be a chance you are working on the app in the dev environment, or might be another environment is selected here. So make sure that your application and flow is in the same environment. So this is a general tip. To create a flow, I will click on create, click on instant cloud flow, click on Power Apps v2, and I will name my flow as a leave request. So for leave request, once the flow is triggered, we are going to send an email or send an approval request to the users manager. To get the user manager, we are going to need the user email from the Power Apps. So for that, we are going to create one parameter that will accept an input from the Power Apps. So I will create a parameter user email, and then to get user manager based on email, we have the action in the Power Automate called as get manager. So this is the Office 365 user connector, and inside that we have this action get manager. So here it will accept input as a UPN or email ID. So this email ID, we created one parameter, so the same email ID I'm going to pass here. I will click on save. I will go to my Power App just to check everything is working. Then I need to click on add flow. So let's say if you don't see your flow here, just click on refresh. You can see the leave request flow is appearing here. So once the request flow has been added, go to your button on select property. So after all these formulas, I am going to write a flow leave request dot run, and it requires user email. So I am going to send user email by using my user object inside Power Apps. I will play this. I will just add like test1. Start date will be something like 15, and it will be, let's say, 22. Unpaid leave, I am going to request leave. So the request has been submitted. I will click on save. Let's see if our flow runs successfully. As you can see in the recent runs, I have this flow run has been successful. So in Power Apps, you can see the email that I have passed earlier using the user function. And here get manager also, we have the success notification, and here is my manager. So if you are new and you are working in a development environment, then there might be a chance that manager has not been set up for your user. So you might get an error like manager not found. So how do you check that? You go to admin center where you have the SharePoint admin or global admin permission. Because as this is my developer environment, so I have full global permission on every apps. So go to users, inside active users, Then I am going to see my this is my account, and here we have the field like manager. So if your user is new, then you have to set a manager manually. Okay, so this is the general tip. So make sure if you got that error, then you have to go to admin center and add manager. Let's go back to Power Automate Flow. Let's click on edit. Okay, so we got the email of my manager. So the next step will be we are going to send an approval request. So for this we are going to utilize the approval start and wait for approval. So this is standard, we don't require any premium licensing. So I will use the create start and wait for an approval. So what it will does, it will send an email approval to your manager, and until the manager takes an action, it is going to stop the flow. Once the manager takes the necessary action, the flow will continue. And we are going to add a one condition like if else condition. What happens if it approves and what happens if it rejects. So my approval type will be first to respond. So what are the difference between is everyone must approve. That means if you have selected 5 different users, then all 5 users have to approve the request. So let's say out of 5, 3 rejected request or any one approver reject the request, the flow will cancel. And first to respond means out of those 5, anyone can approve. So the first, whoever approves first, it will go to next step. So I will select first to respond. So I need to create a title for an approval. So I will write leave request from, let's say I'm going to write my display name. Okay, sorry, this was a manager's. Okay, so what we can just do, leave request for approval, assign to. So this is the main part with for whom we are going to assign this, our manager. So we got the manager email from this get manager action. So we'll just for the mail. If you want to add the details, you can add details like whatever the date, start date, end date, leave type, you can add it here. So I will quickly add, but for that you need to get that data from the PowerApps. So currently I'm not doing that functionality here. You can leave rest of this field blank. Then we are going to add a condition like choose a value like if my approval action is success, then I want to send an email to user that your approval has been successful. Then here we have to write the outcome of an approval. So an outcome equal to approve. Then in the true block, I am going to send an email. So I'm going to send an email to whoever created that request. So that was user email, not manager email. I'm going to use the user email. So I'm going to add a subject, leave request has been approved, and similarly for body as well. So this is the action, send an email when approved. So the general practice like you rename actions in your Power Automate. So this is a very small flow, I'm not going to rename it, but yeah, if you are working in some application that is a very large flow, then you might need to rename every action so that if other developer see your flow, they might get understand. You can also add a note here as well. So let's say it's just an action like when an email is sent once the approval is approved. So you can add a detail like once the manager is approved, the email is going to send to XYZ users. So like these details you can add and make it more readable. So similarly, in the false section, I am going to send another email to the user saying that your approval request has been rejected. So similarly, here the mail will be user's email. Okay, sorry. Subject will be leave request has been rejected, and the body will be same. So here, as you can see, I am sending an approval notification to another user, so that is not currently logged in my browser. So this is just to show you like how you can use the start and wait for approval. So what I'm going to do, instead of my manager, I am going to send that email to myself only. But yeah, you get an idea like how you are going to fetch the user manager dynamically. So let's say there are 20-30 users, so you don't have to manually type each of their manager name in the list. The flow will automatically does that for you. So for now testing only, I am going to remove this email. I am going to put my email address, so the approval notification will come to me. I am going to save it. I will go back here. Okay, go to Power Apps. So after every changes, you have to refresh the flow. But if you already publish the app, then you don't need to do that. But yeah, sorry, sometime like there we get an issue if we don't refresh this. So I generally refresh after I make any changes in my Power Automate flow. So I will just hit a refresh. Okay, we are going to play this. Title will be sick leave. Start date will be 21, end date will be 25. Leave type will be sick leave. So I am going to request a leave. So you can see the request has been submitted. It has been added into my list. I will go to my Power Automate. I will hit refresh. You can see the flow is running. So let's say you have multiple flows running here. You can just simply click on edit column, and you can find lots of columns. If you are using like SharePoint as your trigger, then you can find that detail here. So you don't have to click on every flow to check. You can just simply check here like which flow is running and which is not, right? So I will open this flow. So I got the manager. Now it is going to send an email to my user. So I will check in my Outlook. So you see the I got an email like due request for approval. This was the subject I have put earlier in that Power Automate flow. I got two buttons, approve and reject. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to approve this. Once I click on submit, then it will send another email to me. But here as you can see, the format is we cannot change actually because this is the out of the box. So I am going to submit it. Then I will get email. You can see the leave request has been approved. So this is how you can integrate Power Automate. You can see here we got the approver, who is the approver, what is the request date, what was the response date. So if you want to keep logs of these things, you can use a SharePoint list to store all these kind of logs. All the details you will get, and you can as according to your need. So as you can see, first our flow runs, it get the manager, then we are start and wait for approval, then it will go to condition. The expression result is true, that means outcome is approved. Then it sent an email to my user as subject, and here we have the body. So this is how you are going to use Power Apps and Power Automate. So if you have any questions or any doubts in this, please let me know.